Hi, everyone. This is Kimberly Miller, your holistic health expert from Healing with Excellence. And we have a very special podcast today with Miss Dawn Weaver, someone I've known, I think, about 15, almost 20 years
Mm.
now.
Yes,
And this show is in honor of her daughter, Hannah Weaver. And I just felt that it was a very critical time to do this podcast with Dawn because she is, and it's the proper designations is licensed mental health counselor, correct?
correct.
Okay, so she is a licensed professional and she helps people with trauma and grief and various things all the time. I referred mutual clients to her in the past, and I appreciate and adore her work. But she recently experienced her own trauma. We've all had different trauma, but I think this one impacted her on a different level than ever felt before. And there's so many people right now I'm helping to support through the same type of scenario that I really needed her feedback, her wisdom. And I'm super grateful that she's even willing to share her pain and her recovery with us today. And then, Dawn, do you mind sharing with us what you've experienced in the last couple of years?
So, as a licensed mental health counselor, I would say since COVID, probably have been dealing with a lot of trauma, grief, depression, anxiety, much more than I ever have before, as well as people dealing with struggling with object permanence
Mhm.
and dealing with traumatic loss. But I understood it at an intellectual level.
Mhm.
And I understood it from a perspective of here are the symptoms, here are the skills at work, and this is the type of therapy we're going to do. I didn't understand the gravity of the impact until Hannah died last year. That changed my perspective about traumatic grief and loss
Mhm.
because now I know there is no way to truly understand what someone is going through when they experience traumatic grief and loss, unless you have gone through traumatic grief and loss yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, and
So losing her has been profound for all of us.
as you know, it does also depend on we've most of us have experienced loss, but we just don't expect to lose our children before us.
Hmm.
And how we lose our child. Yes, and I had shared with you that I had went through a very, very close experience with losing my daughter, and it was the deepest pain I've ever felt in my entire life. And so I can only imagine what you're going through. And what happened with Hannah? How did she pass away? What happened?
So Hannah was on her way home from work last year, just a typical day, and it was an unfortunate series of events that happened in the accident. So she was pulling out of work. Someone was in front of her. They were going too slow. It
Mm-hmm.
left Hannah in a lane. The person who hit her was speeding and was on their cell phone.
Mm.
And the impact of that person, because that person was doing about 67 miles per hour and there were no brakes involved at all,
Mm.
just slammed right into her. The damage was instant and profound.
Mm-hmm.
So what was explained to us later was that the brain injury that happened on scene, she was bleeding from every orifice in her face.
Oh.
So, and she's tiny. She's just a
Oh.
little petite thing. She's really tiny. So she didn't have a lot to work with to begin with. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that impact was going to be severe no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened was a shearing of her spinal cord,
Mm.
so that the brain and the spinal cord basically detached, and it was a side to side movement.
Yeah.
And they did attempt brain surgery. She was taken to a trauma hospital immediately. Within 20 minutes, was at a trauma hospital in surgery with one of the best neurosurgeons in the country. And he did brain surgery immediately. They removed part of her skull, the front of her skull, to
Mm-hmm.
release the pressure, or at least attempt to release the pressure on the brain. She
Mm-hmm.
had two brain drains put in to
Mm-hmm.
try to drain the fluid off the vein, but she had a subarachnoid hemorrhage during the surgery.
Mm.
And a subarachnoid hemorrhage is almost impossible to come back from. The common name for it is a starfish hemorrhage. So if
Hmm.
anyone wants to Google the images, they can see. But when you look at scans of the brain, you can see two distinct hemispheres in the brain of a normal brain. You can see two distinct hemispheres. There
Hmm.
isn't a lot of clouding because the blood flow is very specific. In
Hmm.
Hannah's scans, you could no longer see two hemispheres.
Mm.
So it destroyed her brain. And the amount of blood that was on her brain indicated there was no oxygen, no blood flow going into the brain itself. So
Mhm.
the only thing I can say is that while she was on life support, I'm grateful that she was not in pain.
Right.
Due to the injury, she was not in physical pain. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. No, that I know it's every time we experience a loss like that, trying to figure out a way to cope with it. And that is one of the ways I've coped on losing a family member in a head-on collision is just knowing that they most likely did not experience the pain that even
Yes.
I was feeling watching it from the outside in. It's anything that we can do to try to keep ourselves from collapsing when you experience something like that. And
Yes.
I had not known anything to happen until I saw that there was going to be that she was going to donate her organs. And
Yes.
that's when I learned that something was happening. And I was overseas at the time and I was wishing that I could get, because I think that you guys did a special memorial walk or something for her, correct?
We did. We did an honor walk for her just before organ procurement.
Okay.
And that was neat and special because I was able to notify her employer, who notified her coworkers, and family and friends were notified as well. So the hallway from her ICU trauma room to
Mhm.
the operating door were just lined with
Wow.
people to honor her and the gifts she was giving. It was
But
beautiful,
I just,
difficult, but beautiful.
oh yeah, I feel all those chills in my body. No, and how many people was she able to donate to?
So she donated 7 organs and 2 cornea.
Wow.
Yes. All of those organs were donated and the corneas were donated, which is rare because she donated a pancreas and corneas, and
Hmm.
those are not easy to donate. So a lot of people are eliminated from a donation list and are unable to donate those organs, but she did. So all of them were donated. 2 people received 2 organs.
Hmm. Wow.
So, yes. So, most of them went to people in Florida, Central Florida, South Florida, and one recipient was in New York. The recipient in New York received lungs and heart,
Wow.
but that did not go well.
Mm.
So, there's always a risk involved with this,
Yeah.
and that is a lot for an individual to go through. So even though she was donating, it doesn't necessarily mean the donation is going to work for the other individual. And that individual had their own medical issues going on, obviously, but it
Yeah.
was too severe to be saved. But the people in Florida who received the rest of the organs, they're all fine. Organ donation was successful. Those people are doing well. So there's 4 people in Florida who have Hannah's organs, and there is a gentleman in Missouri who has both of her corneas, and so he's able to see now.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing.
Yes.
And it's so hard. Now, let me ask you about that because it is a blessing, but also how did you feel? Did it help you through the coping process? Or did it still make it just as hard? Because I know there's these stages we go through where there's anger that we have to lose our loved one, but I don't know if you felt that. What did you feel?
Profound grief.
Hmm.
I haven't felt angry, which is odd. You would think I would feel angry,
Hmm.
but I haven't felt angry. I just miss her.
Hmm. Yeah.
That part of it is just so difficult. I don't think my brain has had time to be angry because
Hmm.
I've been so sad.
Yeah.
And anger is a protective emotion. It makes us do things, but usually behind anger is deep pain. And so I think that's why I don't feel it. It's because I'm in the deep pain and have been in the deep pain since she was in the hospital. But I will tell you one of the things I intend to work on out of this experience.
Mm-hmm.
Some other legislation. So, I work with mental health legislation, did a
Mm-hmm.
big project with that was successful. So now I'm going to be looking at a new project because while in the hospital with Hannah,
Mm-hmm.
we weren't sure how things were going to go at that point. I was given her a preliminary accident report.
Mm.
And that accident report had the individual who hit Hannah. All of the information was right there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think that's a good idea. I
No,
just don't.
no.
So I looked at that and thought, probably need to have a conversation about this in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I'm not going to do anything with that, obviously, but from a parent's perspective who's in a trauma ICU room, who's handed the name, address, all this information of the person who hit my child, I don't think that's a good idea.
No, no,
No,
not at that moment at all. Yeah. And I'm
no.
grateful that you had the training that you had, that even though it doesn't all work perfect in the moment, that you can address and because it sucks to feel that grief, but it's better to feel that grief and live it and experience it and to honor her life than to live in anger. Because I agree with you. Anytime I see someone in anger, again, anger is useful, but I don't know if you agree with this, but it seems to always be stemming from fear or grief. That's
Mhm.
where I see the anger come from the most, that it's,
Yes.
not really the deeper root. And
Yes.
sometimes we don't really get to truly heal what's going on
Yes.
inside and we live our life through that anger and
Hmm.
and then it creates havoc in all aspects of our life
Yes.
versus just that trauma.
It's a destructive emotion for the most part. It can indicate a boundary violation, but
Hmm.
more often than not, it's destructive and it just makes things worse. I have rarely seen an occasion when I can say somebody was angry and the
Hmm.
outcome of their anger led to something helpful or useful. To
Yeah.
me, it's mostly worse than useless
Hmm.
because we're not thinking properly. We cannot strategize. There's none of that going on. It's a
Hmm.
very skewed perspective.
Yeah. Now, what have been some of the things that you have done to cope with this profound grief? Because I know for me, there was a point that I didn't want to be here when I really thought I was losing my daughter. There was a point when she was missing. And I didn't even want to exist in this plane. Luckily, I had
Yeah.
another daughter, so she helped me exist in this plane, and she's one of the reasons I'm still here. But what have you done to cope with this?
So the coping came later, I would say, although some would argue that I've been coping the whole time. I didn't feel that way. I can honestly say that. I think there was a long period of time of just getting up every day and doing what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like I was coping with it. I was just functioning because I had to, or at least I felt I had to.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a choice in that process to function or not function,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't feel that I was coping well until earlier in the spring of this year.
Mm-hmm.
That started to shift a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started writing Hannah's books. And I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the things for moms, a lot of mothers anyway, we're very protective of our children while they're alive. So we will mama bear
Mm-hmm.
with anyone. We don't care who it is
Mm-hmm.
if we feel something has been done to our child. When
Right.
our child passes away, we protect their memory.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't a loss of parenting, if you want to call it that,
Mm-hmm.
because now I feel responsible for ensuring Hannah's still in the world, that
Mm-hmm.
she exists in the world, that her life matters more than just to people who received her organs and her corneas. It
Mm-hmm.
matters. And that part of it became easier by writing stories from her perspective in her spirit and who she was.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
has been helpful.
Yeah, I just saw your books in the Citrus and Sage bookshop in downtown Brooksville. And I, again, life is so busy. And sadly, the main way you and I keep in contact is Facebook. And over the years, Facebook has gotten rid of all my friends' updates and just markets me stuff and gives me motivational
Yes.
quotes. So I don't get to see what's happening. And so when I was in the bookstore, again, it was like divine timing that I knew we were going to do this podcast. And then I saw these books there. And my daughter was with me, my other daughter, and she went through a lot of the trauma with me when we thought we were losing faith. And she was grateful for us to get the books, and she's excited to read them. So I'm so, I cherish the fact that you're writing about her life because I remember meeting Hannah and, seeing her years ago and getting to
Mhm.
know more about her through what you've experienced is going to be amazing. She's going to read them, then she's giving them to me to read. So how many, is it two you have so far? How many do you have published?
Yes. I
Okay.
have two published so far, paperback and hard copy, and there is another book being published that will be released in November and two planned for next year.
Oh, that's so amazing. And I will link them with the show notes for other individuals that
Thanks.
want to purchase them. Where are they available at? Are they
So
available?
currently,
Mhm.
no other bookstores, just Citrus and Sage right now, and they're
Okay.
on Amazon.
Okay, so they are on Amazon too.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, good. I'll link them. And now, I don't know how to describe this. A couple years ago, I dealt with extreme anticipatory grief of a situation I was dealing with, and I didn't understand what that was. And luckily, I had an amazing psychiatrist that I was working with as my client, and he helped me understand anticipatory grief and how you know it's coming, and then also. Once it's there, you're dealing with it on a different level. And now in your situation, there was no anticipatory grief, I assume, because you didn't know it was going to happen. It was an accident. Um, but comparing it to when you were working with clients that had dealt with traumatic loss and then feeling it yourself, what did that reveal to you? Because when I saw your post on Facebook the other day, and I should, if you're comfortable, I should link it here to what
Sure.
you wrote because it was the closest to describing what I felt when I was losing faith.
Yeah.
And so what did it reveal to you difference from the clinical standpoint from actually living it?
Yes. So the textbook understanding of traumatic grief doesn't come close to the actual experience. I can say that with absolute strength, and I'm not going to question that anymore. The the issue that comes up is this feeling of being present and absent at the same time.
Mhm.
There's a duality internally that occurs in addition to being present and absent.
Mhm.
There can be, when you're present, there can be a lot of grief and sadness
Mhm.
and pain.
Mhm.
And I believe the other state, the dissociative state, is the protective state. But in that state, I live in this space of Hannah's on one of her adventures somewhere
Mhm.
and she's coming back.
Mhm.
But I know that's not reality. It
Mhm.
isn't. But that is where my brain goes to keep me out of that pain
Mhm.
of grief and loss and sadness that she is gone. I
Mhm.
don't know that the brain is designed to handle and manage that type of grief well. The protective mechanism is there because it is too much.
Mhm.
So the processing is different because it can only happen in small chunks,
Mhm.
if you want to call it that. Moments of processing that will immediately shut down because it becomes too much.
Mhm.
That's a difficult way to live because it can be anything. I had a origami frog that I found in my purse one day that just
Set you
it
off.
it broke me.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that was something that was made with Hannah and
Mhm.
my other daughter Isabel and sitting at a table, and it's just those tiny little things like that
Mhm.
can just it takes a normal day, a normal-ish day, and derails it. There
Mhm.
isn't there isn't a way to stop that process from happening. There are a lot of triggers around, even
Mhm.
in the house. But I think I've become accustomed to the photos in the house because they've been here for a long time. So my brain isn't noticing them the same anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But finding an origami frog in my purse that I didn't know was there,
Mm-hmm.
that can derail the entire day.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're working and you're helping other clients, patients, have you had a day where you've just cleared your schedule because something else like that happened, or did you?
That started naturally happening in October.
Mm-hmm.
I just started moving people around, and as people completed treatment with me, I didn't backfill
Okay.
clients into those spaces. I
Okay.
left them open and reduced my schedule significantly.
Okay.
And there were a few people that I referred out because I didn't feel that I was in a place mentally to help those individuals. I
Mm-hmm.
felt what I was going through was going to impede their own progress. So I did refer out, and only kept the individuals that I felt I could work well with. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, none of them were going through grief and loss issues because I could not treat that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I've started treating that again now, and I feel the level of understanding is so much better that my work is better now.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a silver lining, and I hate to silver lining these types of events, but I will say what has come from it as a therapist is a deeper understanding of people in pain and
Mm-hmm.
how to help and what is helpful. Because we often, as we talked about before we started this today, the issue for people on the outside is I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do something,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. And the that is like a universal experience because there's so many people I've talked to now who have all said that directly to me, or I've had clients who have a loved one or whoever dealing with something they want to help. They don't know how. They've said those words to me as well. And from a person living it, I can say the best thing that has happened is people just showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Just showing up. I think we worry too much about what to do or how to say it. And we don't remember that being present with someone, just being there. If they want to talk, if they don't want to talk,
Mm-hmm.
they need a meal, they need help with a chore, they need somebody to just sit with them. We don't have to talk about what happened, not necessarily, but if they want to, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's being present. That's all that's needed. It's just saying, I care about you so much. And I'm so sorry for the pain that you're going through. I can't imagine what that is like for you. But please know I want to be here for you in
Mm-hmm.
any way possible. And
Yeah.
sometimes people will say thank you and they never ask for things. I'm guilty of that.
Yes, I understand
Yes.
too. Yes.
But other people will show up and say, and when are we going to have coffee?
Mm-hmm.
When can I bring you
Mm-hmm.
dinner? When? And so that's when I started connecting more with people and realizing that's necessary for healing.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it keeps us more grounded and engaged in the world around us because these are people coming in to give us love and fill the hole that we have in us, this gaping hole. They're there because they want to fill that need for us. And when we allow them to do that, there is healing in that, but there isn't anything special required.
Yeah. And there is no fixing. It's just being
No, it's just being present
sitting with the person.
because it can't be fixed. It cannot. But avoiding people who have gone through it doesn't help because then they feel more isolated and alone. And the feeling of the experience is isolative and lonely
Mm-hmm.
because you don't feel other people will understand, or you don't feel people want to hold space for your feelings anymore because there's like this cultural perspective of, get over it, move on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like when you get to the point of a year, people are like, well, that happened last year.
Yeah.
Not everyone, I will just say some people
Right.
have that perspective.
Right.
When it initially happens, and you can say, my daughter died 6 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
that connects differently to people than my daughter died last year.
Mm-hmm.
So our cultural narrative that we've all bought into
Mm-hmm.
isn't exactly supportive of this process.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel that we have enough empathy for people going through this
Mm-hmm.
because there isn't an understanding of how much of an impact there is, and that even a year into this, I have not processed what I need to process yet.
I
That
understand.
hasn't happened because I'm
No.
not ready.
Yeah, I believe like your spirit prepares you and prepares your body to
Yes.
be able to handle it because your
Yes.
physical body can't handle a full processing at
No.
one time. And it's getting through that coping and even as you know, through even neuroplasticity, how the brain is changing to even accept this as reality.
Yes.
You have to even get through all that, I think, before your physical body could handle the processing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I didn't understand that either until going through this.
really.
Yes, because their research and everything that we hear about is talk about it quickly so it doesn't become something else. That's not possible right now.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
tried. I did. I actually attempted this because
Yeah.
I thought I gotta fix this. I gotta get my brain working differently and ready to pay $1,000 a session to work with somebody with hypnosis to make this better. It did not work because
Hmm.
my brain is not in a position to process it yet. It was an immediate shutdown.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be pushed to process it that quickly because as you saw, like with the origami frog, there's going to be little things that trigger memories all the time. And it's going to
Yes.
take time for those triggers to evolve and to heal to where it's not as deep of a trigger, or maybe it doesn't derail the whole day, or maybe you smile at it and remember them in a different way, or maybe you
Hmm.
cry a little bit, but it doesn't, put you in bed. So no,
Yes.
yes, I understand totally. So what did you allow yourself to do? Did you allow yourself to go into your cave for several days? What did you allow yourself to do for
Oh, that
coping?
still happens.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm
That
sure.
still
I'm sure.
happens. There's
Because
a
some
lot of
people don't allow
allowing.
themselves time and
Yes.
then some people feel guilty for the ways that they grieve. So what are the things you allowed yourself to do? And did you allow yourself to do that without judgment, or was it hard to not be hard on yourself?
The second would be true. I'm type A personality, just a go-getter by nature.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not used to a slow pace. I'm not used to my brain processing things slowly or having brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the norm for me. I don't like it. It's
Yeah,
not me. This has been, sorry, that's my dog.
that's okay. Dogs are loud. No.
My dog. Actually, that's Hannah's dog who I take care of, Frankie.
Mhm.
So there has been a learning curve for me to understand that I cannot perform the way I used to. And I've had to decline a lot of things as a result, but I am allowing myself now to pull back and to take breaks because number one, if I give my word, I'm a person of my word, I'm going to show up and whatever I produce is going to be high quality. I
Mhm.
can't do all of that at the same time now. I
I
can't.
understand.
Yeah.
And I do believe one day you will, and that this time is required for whatever your calling is going to be next, just like what you're discussing with the legislation. And what you said about the silver lining with my work, I've seen that multiple times too. Like, I'm used to helping people at the brink of death, but I went through a traumatic loss with my grandmother that I wasn't able to save, but her life helped me save thousands after. And so I had to experience it. And I call it what in my work a sacrificial death. I lost somebody or something very, very close to me that again, it was supposed to happen. It was written,
Mhm.
but it didn't make it any less painful. But to see the blessings that developed out of that situation, because like Hannah's life is going to, have a trickle effect throughout so many other lives now that things do happen for a reason. I don't think that that's a cliche thing. And I do believe that we are trained up through life to be even better at what we do to carry out our
Mhm.
calling on a different level. And that
Yes.
preparation doesn't feel good. But
No.
it's way better than the textbook preparation as far as how skilled you become at what you do. And so I'm grateful that you're utilizing this to help gift back to others and allowing yourself to do that slowly because
Mhm.
it is going to take time, and you deserve to have your best physical, spiritual, mental health as you continue forward. And sometimes when we push forward to help everybody else too quickly, it is just destroying us. And we're not
Yes.
allowing that grief to be processed at
Mm-mm.
all to the point that we're really honoring our own soul, you know?
Yes, exactly. And there is a lot of that that I see in my practice with people. It's almost as if we forget about our souls and
Yeah.
that part of us needs to be nurtured and we need to spend time taking care of our souls. And
Hmm.
so sometimes that is a question I ask people now, what have you done for your soul lately?
Yes.
Because we're very in tune with doing. We're not as in tune with being.
No, and a lot of times we want to keep ourselves distracted. So we almost don't have
Mhm.
to face that, but we're running from our own soul, our own physical body by not pouring back into it. And I say we're being human doing versus human being.
Yes.
Exactly. Practice being a human being and sitting with yourself and allowing yourself to feel that, even though it's very uncomfortable. And sometimes when grief is too deep for me to handle on my own, I will. And this actually, I was given this feedback once, and maybe you'll agree with it. I don't know if someone did this for you, but when I was struggling with deep grief, like making myself go get a massage, making myself go get a facial, having somebody else pour into me help me with coping. You can almost feel guilty that you're doing something good, like pampering yourself, but it was my only form of survival to get myself around more people, to make sure I was getting some kind of energy back. And so I don't, and I had someone tell me that a friend of theirs bought them a massage when they lost somebody deep. Now, again, they didn't use it right away, but they were
Right.
grateful for the thought. And then when they were ready to start going out in public or doing something, they did that. But did you do any self-care items to try to help you with your own survival to cope through that time and through this current time?
It was an accidental process
Okay.
because I ended up with Hannah's dog, Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
And Frankie's young. He's a husky golden retriever mix, so
Okay.
high energy.
Mm-hmm.
I bought him for Hannah last year, and she only had him for 4 months. But one of the things I think about frequently is that when she got Frankie and started working with Frankie, she said, "Mom, I'm going to train him because one day he's going to be your dog."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "No, I got him for you. Like, he's not going to be my dog. He's your dog." She said, "No, I'm training him because one day he's going to be your dog."
Mm.
And she was living with me at that time. And I thought it was just strange
Yeah,
because I
right.
had no intention of having a dog.
Yeah, you're like, thanks a lot. No,
Yeah,
no.
I was like, no, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 months later, she was gone.
Oh,
But he has been extremely helpful because I walk him every day, twice a day.
okay.
We do a minimum of a mile in the morning and a minimum of a mile at night. So we
Okay.
start, it's a bookend of the day, a start to the day and an end of the day. And the walking is excellent because that is a way for our body to flush things out and to move energy and
Okay.
to shift energy. It's
Mm-hmm.
not extreme exercise because it's just walking. It's
Mm-hmm.
not extreme, but it is enough to allow our body to process and move. Because when the incident first happened, there was a lot of just being completely still,
Mm-hmm.
not moving, not wanting to get up, not wanting to do anything, to go out, to be around people, just isolating and staying home.
Mm-hmm.
And because I take him for walks, we now know all the dogs in the neighborhood. And we
Mm-hmm.
know all the people who take care of those dogs in the neighborhood. And that has caused a lot of connection as well in the
Right.
process. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he has been instrumental in helping me get through this because I have to get up every day.
Right.
I
Right.
have to. He needs me to get up every day. He needs me to help him. And I will absolutely get up and ensure that I do that.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
amazing. No, and it was an innovative plan, and you probably didn't want to do it, but I'm glad that he helped you do that.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, he has.
Now, how often do you see your other daughter?
So I see her regularly, but not as much as I would like. And
Mm-hmm.
that is because she is a canine deputy.
Oh,
here
wow.
in Hernando for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And she is currently training a new canine
Mm-hmm.
because her first canine is being retired.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a slow process of him leaving. But so she's working and training and
Busy.
doing all of that. Yes, extremely busy. So I don't get to see her as much as I would like, but I know that once she's done training
Mm-hmm.
Chief, and she named him Chief because that's what Hannah used to call her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hannah called her Chief. So the new canine's name is Chief. And once she's done training him, I'll see her more often.
That's
But we talk every single day.
good, good. Now, the reason I ask is because I know I've had other clients go through this that maybe a young adult has lost their mother, and that young adult might have a child. But after losing their mom, the young adult might feel like a shell of herself and
Mhm.
may not be able to feel like a functioning mom for her daughter. And I know for me, when I was going through some extreme grief, and even sometimes now experiencing some grief, it's like you're on this autopilot and you're just going through the motions, but I still want to be a full, whole mom for my daughter that's here. Well, I have both my daughters, but when I'm going through specific things that might make me feel like I'm in just that automated state. And after someone has a deep loss, sometimes they really are just, a shell of themselves around the other people that they love. But I know that anytime we could lose anybody or they could lose us. And I don't want to be a shell of a person when I'm around the other people that are still here for me, that I still love, that I want to be my whole self to. So how do you go through, and maybe you just can't, maybe you have to be a shell of yourself at times, but how did you go through being who you want to be for your daughter that's still here while you're grieving your daughter that's no longer in the physical realm?
I had, I have a lot of guilt around this topic because I used to promise the two of them that they would always have each other,
Mm,
that one day I was going to be gone, but they would always have each other. And I wanted them to be best friends for that reason. I was like, I want the two of you to be closer to each other than you even are to me, because someday I won't be here, but the two of you will always have each other. And now she doesn't have Hannah.
yeah.
So there was a lot of guilt because we just don't think that way. We don't think that our children are going to die before we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a natural process.
Mm-hmm.
But when it happened, I realized how much Isabel was going through because she lost her best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, I believe it's brought us closer together to each other because the expectation of performance is off the table in both directions.
That's so awesome.
Yes, it's just being and to be honest about things. So I often start the conversation. We just had a family dinner here on the 28th, which was the date of her organ donation, Hannah's organ donation. So, first anniversary of that. So, I had everyone here at the house,
Mm-hmm.
and I will often start the conversation of what's happening. And I talked about dissociation, I talked about brain fog, I talked about forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone at the table was able to agree and then start sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, I believe it's brought us closer together because there isn't an absence of processing when we are together
Mm-hmm.
and it's all real. No
Right.
one's fake.
That's so good. That's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I know for me, because of the amount of loss I have experienced or that I've watched other people experience, I just trying to love people for exactly who they are. And
Yes.
because this is all a temporary illusion. And like you said, performance expectation, specific expectation for someone to be a certain way or it's it just all seems like a fake short-term unnecessary stressor that takes away from the quality love that we should be sharing for the very, very short time that we have here and causes so many petty, ignorant, and maybe I shouldn't say it, but just loss of time that we could have
Yes.
together that to me, we don't realize that we're losing until someone's really not here.
Yes. Absolutely.
And sometimes
It
we feel so
shifts.
right in that disagreement or that right in that performance expectation. And then when someone's gone like that, you're like, what was that all about? Was it even
Yes.
worth it? Yeah.
And I hear that from people frequently as well, where they've held a grudge against someone or didn't want to spend time with someone for some specific reason. And they lose that person and they say, I truly regret that
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter.
Yes.
What matters is the connection with the person and spending time because once they're gone, the
Hmm.
first thing you will wish for is more time.
Yeah, no, and I've had individuals that were married 54 years and it still was not enough time. They
Yeah.
still wanted more time. And
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, because I was really beating myself up for somebody that I wanted to visit and then I didn't get a chance to visit them. And then they did unexpectedly pass away. And then the person's wife was, grieving with me and she's like, Kim, 54 years and I just had no idea that he wasn't going to make it out of hospice. And I'm like, okay, Kim, even if you would have seen him that last time, it wouldn't have felt like enough time. She was with him the whole time, and it doesn't feel like enough time to her. So you're so right. And I've had individuals that I've worked with while everybody's still alive, trying to advise them to let go of that grudge or to not be in that space. And they feel like, oh no, I'm going to be fine. If they pass away, it's going to be okay. And I've never seen them be okay, at least
Yeah.
not from if the person's passed away and they've held a grudge and didn't try to speak with them or love them or do something with them while they had the chance.
Yes. Absolutely. There will never be enough time.
No, and that's why
It's just not
yeah,
possible.
no. Because death used to impact me so deeply to the point of such extreme fear. And then I realized the only thing that we can control is to give somebody as much love as possible and to forgive as quickly as possible because we don't know when either we're going to be gone or they're going to be gone. And so if we spend as little time as possible not arguing, not ignoring each other, not being short or tempered, and just genuinely loving people. I found
Yes.
that's the way it's still not perfect, but it's helped me reduce the amount of regret and resentment as much as I possibly can in dealing with death.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's now with the people that you've worked with in the past that have dealt with a grand amount of, loss.
Hmm.
How have you helped them through? Because I know you do different modalities too. What
Yes.
are some of the best modalities when the person really is ready to process if they felt stuck? What are things that you've seen help them get over that huge hump where they can actually live again if it's paralyzed them?
It's discussion about what the person who passed would want for them and
Okay.
how they would want to be remembered. Because people who love us, if you think about the way you love the people around you,
Hmm.
we want the best for the people around us. Friends, family, whoever it is, we want the best for them. We want them to be happy, successful, enjoying life, living it to the fullest all the time. We don't want them to be upset. And a lot of times we would do anything to make it okay, right?
Right. True.
When a person passes away, they don't want to be the source of pain.
Right.
They don't want to be the source of someone falling apart.
Hmm.
They want to be the source of everything they gave while they were here. So
True.
for Hannah, that was laughter. She
Hmm.
just was incredible with that. Just so funny and naturally funny
Hmm.
and talented and could just deliver these one-liners in the moment that you just wonder how in the world does she come up with this stuff?
Right. Right. I understand fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in her passing, I know she wouldn't want to be a source of pain.
Hmm.
She would still want to make us laugh, to make us smile,
So
to
true.
shift a moment into something tons of fun. That was
Hmm.
who she was. That's what she would want.
Yeah, and I do believe we owe it to them to live our fullest life while we're still here and we can live. Because
Hmm.
again, we don't know when that last day is. And again, in honor for them, we should live fully. Because so many of us aren't living fully, or we're living in fear, or we're living the same day over and over and over because of various expectations or fears. And I
Yeah,
think when you see how finite and short life really is, it sometimes makes you make decisions much quicker than what you would have in the past, understanding that this is all temporary and we take nothing with us. Now let me ask has it changed yet at all how you are going to live going forward or how you currently live other than reducing your schedule? Have you taken more risk? Are you taking less risk? What's happening?
I'm being more intentional
Okay.
about how I spend my time.
Hmm.
So, in some ways, I would say I do a lot more because of Hannah's books and wanting her presence to still be here. So,
Hmm.
that has become a mission, right? We all have these different missions at different points in our life. So, right now, the mission is to write stories that Hannah would absolutely love
Hmm.
that reflect who she was and her spirit and her energy
Hmm.
and how that translates into these books and making sure that that message is out there that she's still imprinting
Hmm.
somehow because I'm protecting the memory, right?
Right,
That's
right,
the new mission. So I
right.
do put a lot of energy into that, but I don't find that draining at all.
That's
I
good.
believe because it's a mission,
Hmm.
it's naturally energizing
Hmm.
because I have a good time writing those stories and I laugh and I can hear her in my head saying things like, "Don't you dare put a bow on my head, Mom. Do not put me in a dress, Mom. I don't like that."
Right, right, right.
Little things that she would say, I hear them now. And so that's a lot of fun and it's energizing.
Hmm.
I have started to see more clients again because I feel my energy is better now.
Good.
And I'm still not working to the capacity I was in the past prior to Hannah passing away. And I don't think that I will return to that schedule
Hmm.
because I don't want to spend my time that way.
100%. I
Yes.
completely understand. Yeah, my life has completely changed since I went through various traumatic situations. It really does make you readjust and, like you said, be more intentional on how you want to spend your time because you want every moment to count, at least count for you, the way it counts. Again, it could just be sitting outside by yourself and grounding and looking at the sun and or the moon, and it that could be what
Yes.
intentionally counts for you in that moment.
Yes. And
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely it is sometimes. Sometimes it's sitting by the ocean, one of my favorite things. Going out and watching sea turtles laying their nests and things like that, because that brings me joy. So the intention is no longer striving for a certain thing.
Hmm.
That's not what it is anymore. It's just intentionally living and being present, which you would think as a therapist that would be a natural inclination to begin with, but it really
Yeah.
wasn't.
No, just life still teaches us, study, pass the test, get to work, help people, help people, help people,
Yes.
help people. And
Yes.
sometimes you forget that you're really ignoring your own soul, exactly what you said earlier.
Mhm.
Now, prior to Hannah, have you lost your parents or your grandparents? What's another profound loss that you had?
My dad,
Hmm.
strangely enough, my dad passed away on the same date as Hannah, but 17 years prior. So
Oh
they both
gosh.
passed on September 28th. He just happened to pass 17 years prior. That was a profound loss for me
Hmm.
and very difficult because I was about 30 at the time.
Hmm.
And so I felt like, again, time was taken away.
Yes. Yeah.
So I wanted him to be here to get to know my children, to get
Hmm.
to see all of that. And he wasn't here.
Let me
So,
ask you about that.
mhm.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, go ahead.
No, you just triggered a thought for me on that. So I'd share with you because I've been helping people overseas that have been impacted by the genocide, by the war, and they're losing family members or they're anticipating losing family members. That's what's been hard for me to cope with watching. And again, I'm not even the one going through it, but sitting by the side of individuals that's going through it. And you know me, I'm used to being a fixer and helping and serving. And there's just certain things that are not, you can't fix it. You can just be with
Mm-mm.
somebody and like you said, be present. But I'm watching individuals' entire histories be wiped away, their generations, their histories, and pieces of their future in the sense of they won't have a parent at their wedding or they won't have the same kind of traditional wedding they would have had because their entire area is
Yes.
being demolished. And how do you, I mean, I guess there's no magic answer. How do you cope with the fact like you thought your father was going to be there for all these things and now you have to go through life not being able to share any of those things with the person that meant the most to you or that you envisioned as a child was going to be there
Yes.
to watch all
Yes.
these things happen. It really, life is nothing as to, I mean, I shouldn't say nothing as to what we envision it, but even with intention, we can't completely plan life.
No, we cannot. It's outside of our control, very much outside of our control. We can do the best we can to make intentional decisions about what we're doing, but
Hmm.
we still don't have control over things that just happen.
Right.
We can't control everything.
Yeah.
So for for missing him and wanting him around again, I go back to what would he want for me
Hmm.
and what would he want my life to be like? And it's not that he's gone and it's not that she's gone.
Hmm.
Their spirit, their energy continues. I'm a big fan of quantum physics
Yeah,
and
I
have
believe
been
that
for a
too.
long time,
Yeah.
long time. But
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah.
even bigger fan of quantum physics more
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
And the basis of energy cannot be created or destroyed, it just changes form. And we're all energy. So
Hmm.
we can't destroy the energy of the person. That's not
Right.
possible.
Right.
The energy of them changes form, but it
Yes.
doesn't mean that they're gone. Now, granted, there are moments when I don't want to get out of bed and I'm crying because I miss her.
Yes.
That's the part of my brain that wishes for her to be here
Hmm.
physically,
Right.
but it is not that she's not here. Her energy is still here, will always be here. The
Yes.
same with him.
And I know there's different belief systems with that. And I tell people, even if that's the way I cope with it, I don't care. But I have had multiple affirming signs of this after I lost my grandmother. And there's just things that happen in synchronicity that just can't
Yes.
just happen. There's something bigger pulling that.
Mhm.
And I do agree. I have a awesome colleague, nurse practitioner in Virginia that specializes in helping with grief. And she was a hospice nurse also for several years. And she's like, Kim, they're just transitioning. They're not dying. They're just transitioning to a different form. It's not you're not saving them from their death. They actually need to transition. And
Yes.
sometimes that transition needs to happen, or all the time, that transition needs to happen exactly as it should, because there's a reason that person needs to transition at that time, even if it looks bad on the outside to us. And
Yes.
I do, based on the blessings I've seen come out of loss, I do believe that. But like you said, it still sucks not being able to touch them physically or, hug them, hear their voice. But
Yes.
I do still hear the voice, but that physical with them as with us at the dinner table.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Hannah was a big cuddler. So she would climb in bed with me, even at this age. She would climb in bed with me and climb across me and want me to rub her back and talk and lay there and watch TV with me and all of that. And those things are difficult
Yeah.
when you miss the person,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So thankfully, I have Frankie who sleeps next to me now. He'll watch TV with me
Yeah,
in
Frankie's
case
little,
it
but
keeps
yeah, you
ever.
know that Hannah's still there working through
Yes,
Frankie. Yeah, I
yes,
understand. And somehow
yes.
she knew.
Yeah, she
Uh,
did. And there were a lot of, as you mentioned, synchronicities that have happened since she passed, that even people who know me who are not believers
hmm.
in signs or anything have actually said to me, there is no way that that is not her. That
Right,
absolutely it's not possible for it to not be her.
right.
So they've had their own shifts in perspective and thought because of Hannah's passing and what has happened as a result of that.
Yeah, and it tends to happen at just the perfect time that you truly need it.
Hmm.
Just to affirm that everything's going to be okay and that I am
Yes.
still here or I am still watching or at least that energy still exists. No, I agree. And it's helped me on so many occasions and it even helped guide me. I'm like, give
Yes.
me a sign, and that sign comes, and it's guided
Yes.
me amazing, and it's never guided me wrong, even if it's looked crazy. Uh,
Yes.
but no, I'm so grateful that you've experienced that too, because it does definitely help, and you can almost talk to them as if they're there. And I'm okay if I look crazy doing that too. It's okay. No,
Yeah,
and I'm sure, yeah,
yeah, I get that.
I'm
Totally get that.
sure you had patients that dealt with coping in multiple different ways.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the one thing I want to ask you. I don't, maybe there's no clear cut answer, question. There's no clear answer other than maybe just like you said, living their best life. But I expressed to you too is that serving people that are going through such tremendous loss.
Yeah.
I have helped multiple people through the passing of one person, maybe two, but now serving and loving and caring about people on a human level and like, the closest friends, like family, and now watching them wait for their family to lose their life, whether through starvation, murder,
Yeah.
or something very horrible, and then maybe even see their family only through Facebook as
Yes.
understanding their death. How, for me personally, as a person supporting that, how can I best help someone that may lose 100 family members at one time in an entire family line? How do you show up for that person? And then how can they cope with losing the most dearest people to them in their entire life? Think of how painful we felt and how painful you
Mhm.
felt losing Hannah,
Yes.
and times it by 100 Hannahs at one
Yes.
time, you know?
Yes. And that's what I was going to say. That's a whole other level of traumatic grief
Mm-hmm.
that I don't know other people could truly understand unless they went through it as well,
Mm-hmm.
what that feels like. Because to have your entire family gone, even your friends gone, and there isn't a explanation that makes sense, that
Mm-hmm.
stuff shouldn't happen.
Right.
And they could be babies and they can be
Mm-hmm.
the elderly. It's everything in between and they're just gone. I'm not sure that I could adequately understand what that is and
Mm-hmm.
what that feels like. I don't have a frame of reference for it.
Right.
The only thing I know for sure is that healing from the loss of people is connecting to people.
Mm-hmm.
And good people, when they show up and the energy that they provide is healing.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot replace the people they lost, not ever, not ever.
Yeah.
But we can connect them just as people who come to sit with me,
Mm-hmm.
connecting them back here and saying, I care about you.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know I care about you. I'm here. I want you to be okay because that's what those loved ones would want for them.
Mm-hmm.
They
That's
would want them to continue to connect, to continue to be, and to be okay.
mm-hmm.
But the situation that you're referring to, it goes beyond that
Yeah.
traumatic grief and loss.
Mm-hmm.
The situation as it is shouldn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
So there are levels of that that I'm not sure I could speak to because I don't have an experience in my life that could compare to that.
No, and
I
so many of
don't.
us will never have an experience in our life that can compare. I mean, the one thing I'm grateful of is most of the individuals I've connected with have an extreme amount of faith, and I'm impressed with their faith and their resilience and their
Yeah.
perseverance and their willingness to still give and love and try. Like you said, that duality, like still trying to function as if nothing's happening, but still coping with what's happening. I've been so impressed by, and I don't even want to say impressed because I don't want anybody to have to live in that state just for coping, but just to watch the extreme amount of faith and the amount of the ability to get back up each day, not knowing what that day is going to bring or the next day on a much grander level than what I have ever personally experienced. I'm just grateful to witness that level of faith,
Yeah.
and to be able for them to have that, to be able to give them, even if it gives them, whatever extra support in that coping that's going to be required or is required in this moment. But yeah, I don't think any of us can ever, and you're right, there's no real answer, but I think I'll just continue to be present and to let people know that there are people that care and that we
Yeah.
can't fix it or change it, but that we're going to be here in any way we possibly can. And then for
Yes.
me, I just keep trying to pour into myself so that I can be whole for other individuals when I show up for them. Because exactly what you said, there's days I've cleared my whole schedule because I know I'm not going to do somebody else any good service and I'm not going to bill them for my time.
No.
My energy is so much lower than theirs at that moment based on processing the information. And I just believe we can't give what we don't have. And it's really important to keep pouring into myself so I can sustain what I want to give to others and that I can truly show up for them and not just be a shell of myself when I'm showing up for them either, to where I could be adding to their grief
Mhm.
or doing them a disservice by trying to help them when I really need to make sure I get my own shit together,
Yes,
you know.
exactly. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
good to know those. I feel as professionals, it's our responsibility to
Mhm.
know that and to take care of people and to say, I care about you enough to tell you I am not the provider that I want to be for you right now. And I'm not the person you need right now because I'm not capable of it. I care enough about you to be honest about that and
Mhm.
to say, let's find a person who is going to be the best fit for you
Mhm.
right now so that you can continue what you need to do and I can pull back and heal so I can then be that person again at some point, whenever
No,
that happens.
100%. Yeah, no. And by doing that, you allow yourself to have the real growth that comes out of that too, to where you become like what you're experiencing, an even better therapist than you already were, and just to be able to speak to it on a different level and serve on another
Mhm.
level. No, and I appreciate you sharing that. And now, again, losing a parent, all of it's tragic. Losing a parent, losing a sibling. I do find losing a child is one of the most profound. Are there any
Mhm.
other things before we sign off that if you could share with anybody that's had a traumatic loss or has lost a child? Is there any other tips or any last words of advice that you would offer to them to help them through that process?
To be brave enough to live without guilt,
Okay.
to do that because a lot of times we can feel guilty that we're here and we're laughing or we're having a good time because they're gone. But again, reconnecting to that person would not want to be a sense of a source of pain for you. They wouldn't want you to not laugh or not enjoy your life because they're not here. If anything, they want that more for you now than they did even while they were here. So it's staying connected to people, not isolating, not feeling like you can't laugh, you can't enjoy your life. They want that for us. When we love people, that's what we want.
That's so true. Survivor's Guild is so profound in learning how to live outside of that, not in that space. And no,
Hmm.
I appreciate that advice because it is very good advice and it is so true. Yeah. Well, thank you, Don, for being willing. I mean, because a year is still very fresh in my mind, and to be willing to share this at this time. I really appreciate you being willing, brave, and able to do that. And I definitely will, like I said, link Hannah's book here. Also, if you're okay, I want to share the post that you did in reference to how you were feeling inside, because that was what really made me want to speak with you today, because you really articulated that very well into words, even though it's almost impossible to truly express into words what someone's physically feeling inside with that level of grief. You did a pretty good job.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you for sharing that, because there's multiple people out there like us, me, myself, that
Yes.
needed those words and just have someone else to relate to.
Yeah, I have realized that after writing that. I didn't intend to share that. I was going to post that just to myself. And I ended
Mhm.
up sharing it because I thought, well, even if it helps one person, if they feel comfortable to share their pain because I'm sharing mine and it makes it okay for them, it's worth it. I've had so many people
Wow.
reach out as a result of sharing that. And they're so brave in doing it. They're not hiding their pain. They're saying, this is what happened, this is how I'm functioning, this is what's going on. And I didn't feel anybody understood that. So again, that feeling of being isolated and lonely in the process,
Hmm.
and that no one's going to understand you. They can't possibly, right?
Right.
Then you read something and you say, no, that person gets it. Suddenly
Yes.
it's not a lonely process anymore.
Right.
Not this person gets it. I can connect to that person. And that's what's healing. It goes back to connecting to people that heals us.
Yeah. Thank you, Don. We're going to
You're
leave it
welcome.
at that and just hang out just a moment. I'm going to sign off from the rest of you. Thank you guys for allowing us to share. Thank you for listening. Please send any questions you have. Dawn is more than happy to answer questions and guide you in a direction if you need some more support, even with someone to talk to on a professional level. Thank you for being here with us today, and I hope you have a beautiful day.